Guys, thanks so much for joining us. I'm seated next to Adrian once again. Thank you for joining me. I wanted to discuss with you some of the most undervalued Audemars Piguet, or the best buys from Audemars Piguet now in the current market. So let's get right into it. So Adrian, AP is perhaps maybe one of the more turbulent brands out there in terms of market price, right? Very difficult to gauge. What are you seeing right now currently in the AP market?
I have a quarrel with AP. It's one of those very, very unhealthy relationships. I hate them one day and I love them the other day. I hate so many things about them, the brand, how they operate. But then when I see the watch, I can't help to recognize that to me, it is still the most beautiful aesthetic watch that there is. Now, we're coming into a time where I think that they manufactured and rolled out too many, I don't want to say basic Royal Oaks, but just basic Royal Oaks.
A lot of the same.
You know, the 50th anniversary to me was a flop, and not a flop for the brand by any means, but a flop on the market, because when you're looking at a watch at face value, if I'm sitting here and you paid all the money on the gray market for a 50th anniversary piece, I can't even tell. Because I don't know what the rotor looks like, right? If they would have done something for the 50th anniversary where the dials would have been different from their 2023s, we have something here. There's an oversupply of those watches, and I think they're much more readily available today.
Well, not to mention, we also went from a time when, you know, just to take, like, harp on the 15500, right? Went from the 15500 to the 15510, and you look at them side by side, the nuances are so insignificant that it's like, what's the difference? You know what I mean? So essentially,
very little.
You're having, you know, when you went from the 15300 to the 400, 400 to the 500, there were actual aesthetic nuances and mechanical nuances, right? New movement from 15400 to 15300, different size from 15300 to 15400. Now there's no real difference.
So look, with the 15400, the deletion of the automatic badging, and then they had the dash at the 3 o'clock window. 15500, they deleted that dash. Now it's only just a date at the window, and they removed the automatic badging. 15510, deletion of the automatic badging, deletion of the dash at 3 o'clock, and they also took the AP away, like the A and P away from the 12 o'clock. Now, look, again, I like the fact that they made that change, but at least make some various difference in the dial from the counterpart.
And that's, you could say that for the three-handers, the chronographs, the tourbillon. You know what I mean? You go down the range, and like the only one that they really distinguished that I could say that they made a real effort was the precious metal 16202s, the new Tuscan dial, the sunburst. Even, for example, the rose gold with that gradient gray dial. Those are the only ones I can say that they really knocked it out of the park, and they're so different.
Those were crazy. Like even for the 16202, which I would say, you know, if you line up 10 AP guys or 10 Audemars Piguet fans, 9 of them would say that, hey, I want, for affordability reasons, obviously, right? I want the 16202. It's the novel. It's the piece. It's the 5711 for them, right? Can't tell the difference. Like you physically, you cannot tell the difference.
And side by side, they're the same
thing.
Like the dial is a shade darker.
It's almost irrelevant, right? Unless you're sitting under light, looking at them side by side. I mean, yes, granted, I do like the fact that they changed the quick set date. Thank God. I mean, that was such a dated functionality that should have been done many, many years ago. But yes, that is a great touch mechanically to the watch, but aesthetically, it looks the same, and that's what I don't like about them. Now, their ceramics. Fantastic. The 26240, the chrono ceramic, fantastic. Every perpetual ceramic that they make is fantastic. Every skeleton they make is fantastic. And that's about it for me. So we kind of really went off course in terms of talking about the APs we like to buy. We kind of talked about stuff not to buy. But I would say right now from Audemars Piguet, the stuff to buy, there's one specific reference out there that I think is severely undervalued and underappreciated, and that is 39 millimeter dual time.
Sick watch. I think it's such a nice looking piece. Steel, 39 millimeters. You get quick set date, dual time complication, power reserve indicator, but they combine all that and still a very clear and legible dial. It's a great watch.
It works. The real estate on the watch works with the power reserve. There's not too much going on. It's not busy, and it's a value proposition in comparison to some of their 39 time-only counterparts, right? So that's, if I had to name a reference, a 26120, I think is a great one to buy.
Not to mention, again, it goes back to production, right? Production numbers. They didn't remake it, limited production, because at the time, it was still mass production to a certain extent, but a lot less limited than, or a lot less production than it is today. So I think that's a great first pick. I mean, for my first pick, I was gonna go a lot higher. I was actually gonna go with the original 26585 CE. So I think is the reference.
26585 CE should be the perpetual skeleton.
Okay, so whatever the black dial one is. So the first ceramic perpetual that they ever did. Sorry,
26579.
There you go.
CE. CE is white.
True.
He's getting there.
Yeah.
He's getting there.
Listen, my reference numbers suck. But the reason I say this is because it's the first ceramic perpetual, full ceramic watch that they ever made in a Royal Oak. Yeah. To me, that's going to be potentially the future collectible. Now, anytime you have the first of something, specifically in a, I think, historically changing design, right? The Royal Oak being such an impactful design in the watch world, it's going to be a future collectible. And I think this is certainly going to be one of them.
Yeah, I mean, look, I remember when this watch first came out. I was in Hong Kong. It was probably 2016 or 2017, one of those years, and we had one coming in, and we were the first on the market to have it. I posted it on my Instagram story, incoming. Like, that was my thing back then, incoming. Oh my God, my phone blew up off the hook, and needless to say, I sold that baby so cheap at the time. It was like, I think I may have sold it for like 120,000. Retail on the watch was it was like 10 or 50, but that's what it was back then, right? It wasn't common for a Royal Oak Perpetual to be over MSRP.
Of course.
That, I think that may have been, no, that definitely was the first Royal Oak that I sold for over MSRP. So that is near and dear to my heart. But going back to specifics that I think are a good buy on the market today, and it's a watch that I just got some good wrist time with, is the 43 millimeter 26420 SO, otherwise known as the Taupe. I think that's how you pronounce it. I don't think anybody's ever said it. Taupe.
Yeah.
So look, again, I don't want to say girly wrist, but my wrist isn't really big, let's just say. And 42 millimeter offshores are even a little bit big on my wrist. 44s, forget it, I can't wear it. It's ridiculous on my wrist. That fit works. The way they re-engineered the case, for whatever reason, it hugs the wrist. It's so comfortable. And when I was wearing that watch on my wrist, it was so pretty. The color, the fit, the feel, the quick chain strap system, everything about it. And now it's no longer a $60,000 watch on the market at I think it's like $39,000 retail. You can now pick these up under MSRP. So that would be my choice number 2, 26420 SO.
It goes back to that idea. It's not something they ever did before, right? Which is, I think, so important whenever you're factoring in your choice in picking your AP model. For me, next is going to be kind of in the similar vein of the 26-120. It's the 39 millimeter chronos. I'm a big fan of those. I'm wearing a 38 millimeter just because proportionally it fits me better. But those 39 millimeter chronos, you can pick. I mean, the white dial, we had one for 30,000 sold like this, right? It's still a highly popular watch. I like it in the white because it's got the color match date as opposed to the black and the blue, which doesn't. But I think there's such a great value right now. And again, you get the timeless look of the Royal Oak, original 39 millimeter jumbo case size. It's just perfect, and the price point is just great. Again, lower production also than current chronos.
So for number 3, it's a toss-up for me because a lot of I might shake things up a little bit, but I'm going to throw one out of left field here, and I'm going to say that although almost universally people hate on the code 1159, there are some codes out there that you can pick up cheap that look great. Look, the engineering of the watch, I love the strap. I love the fact that it's dressy and you can wear it sporty. Yeah, I know you're saying sure, but it's a value now. Like you're safe to buy it on the secondary market because, as we know, the codes were the leverage for getting the Royal Oaks, getting your foot in the door and then losing your ass. But the asses have been lost, okay? They're cheap on the market, and if you pick something like that up, you're not going to get hurt. And it's actually a watch. I know a few people that have them, and they actually like them.
Yeah.
There's a time and place for them. So something bold and funky like a 15210 BC, the burgundy one. I think it's cool.
I mean, the rose gold one with the blue really pops.
Or
that's another nice one. There's a lot of value to be had in the. Dude, I remember there's this one watch that I speak with a customer of mine all the time, and it's like such a ridiculous bargain. It's an open work tourbillon. I don't know the reference, but it's white gold with the rose gold sides.
Yeah.
It's such a, like you could pick those up for $105,000. The retail is $220. Like it's such a,
absolutely.
It's a watch you'll definitely lose your shirt on, but aesthetically it's such a good watch, and it's such a good looking watch. Skeletonized, from AP. There's something about the code, I think, that has become they're oversold, right? It's like in stocks, when a stock gets oversold, like codes have almost become oversold now at this point.
But here's the crazy thing about the code is I think it's one of the best things AP did in a long time, and I'll explain to you exactly why. Obviously, when you have a brand, not everything can be a Royal Oak. You obviously can't sell all Royal Oaks. You can't sell all offshores. You need other things in a lineup. And before, that was a Jules lineup. Before, that was an Edouard Piguet lineup. And they were horrible. They're horrible today. I'm sorry. They're ugly watches.
Yeah, they're outdated. Outdated is a better word. Yeah.
Outdated. They're just not good-looking watches, and nobody wants them. Their answer to that with the Coda M59, I think, was leagues better than the stuff that they produce.
Well, that was going to be my next question to you, right? Because when we sat down talking about Patek Philippe, we had discussed maybe looking backwards, right? And all of our picks so far have been mostly modern within the last 20 or so years. And I think it's because of that, because outside of the Royal Oak, it's hard to find a design from the Jules, the Edouard Piguet lines, you could go down the list. It's just those Roman buys, sorry, Roman, are just... they're just not. They're just not.
Is what it is.
Yeah, they're not current. They're not with the time.
We tell things how they are. Yeah. Like if we don't like something, we're going to say it, and it's not for lack of innovation. It's not for lack of complication or quality of the watch. It's just overall aesthetics of it. A lot of the bigger complication millenaries are just, and jewels are just big. They're like there's one Edouard Piguet that I can't unsee the fact that it has a mustache on the dial. Like I can't unsee that. I'm sorry. Yeah. But you look at any code, whether you like it or not, it's aesthetically pleasing. Yep. From time onlys to the chronographs. Not to mention those open work with tourbillons, the split second, some of the stuff they made is actually
Onyx style turb is awesome.
Sick.
Oh yeah, they've come out with a lot of new good releases.
Kudos to AP for that. And I might be the only one out there on the market that's saying kudos to AP for their code 1159s.
So I got to ask you one more question. Again, looking back, right? Is there any Royal Oaks you would say maybe to look back as potential future collectibles, maybe your 39 millimeter perpetuals? I think those are perhaps a bit oversold. Or do you have any kind of models you think?
So, in my opinion, during the boom of the Royal Oak, during this stimulus period, I like to call it, I think that a lot of pieces like that, the 39 perpetuals, whether open work or not, they hit that ceiling. They got priced out of the market. So if, let's say, gold one, I'm not talking about skeletons, around the $100,000 mark, I don't know there's enough consumer confidence for it to go back up to 130. I don't know if anybody's going to pay that. I also don't think it's going to come down to like 60,000, right? I think it kind of is where it is. I'm going to name a specific watch that I feel is a collectible, and it's an offshore. It's actually my favorite offshore. It's a carbon Ginza, because AP was really the first company to really take carbon, forged carbon, and make it into something. Sure. Right? RM kind of took that to a new level, but there really aren't many APs in an all forged carbon case that are just super, super special. Yeah, you have the Bumblebees out there, and you have a few other key models in 44, but the Ginza, the Diamond 7, I'm telling you, is a collectible.
Yeah, and the thing is also with the Ginza, it's still somewhat wearable, right? Because if you look at like a carbon concept,
it's big, it's massive.
It's too difficult to wear. And again, I think one of the most undervalued APs out there, but again, you have to have the size to be able to pull that watch off. So I think that's actually a good pick. Now, I got to ask you, right, 2024, as of 2024, we're expecting a new CEO for Audemars Piguet. Obviously, we're going from arguably the greatest CEO of all time in the history of watches, right, from Francois. Probably. What are you nervous at all for the AP brand, and maybe what would be your outlook for the AP brand over the next couple of years?
So look, one thing we do know for sure without having to speculate is there was an article that came out that mentioned that they are expanding their factory and they are planning to bump production up. Now what that means for the market, generally speaking, is anytime you pump production up, as we mentioned earlier, it's going to drive the prices down. So I don't really know exactly what they're going to be producing, but I really, really hope that they discontinue a lot of the current Royal Oaks in their catalog right now and just do something new and fresh. Update the offshore line again. You did a really good job with the 43s. The 42s are getting stale. They're just getting stale. Take a 42 and if possible make it in a 41 case. Shrink it down a little bit, make it a little bit more wearable. And certainly yellow gold. Pieces in yellow gold I think are a thing. Yeah. So that's kind of where I hope the AP brand goes. And most importantly, I think now is a time in the market, in any industry, where you really, really need to take care of your customers. And that's something that they kind of let slide for a long time. They got too cocky. They got too powerful, too quick. And unanimously, you hear from clients how they treat them.
Yeah.
That's a problem.
It's the one brand I can say, like, Patek Philippe, Rolex, you have your certain bad apples, but AP is just like,
as a whole,
horrible.
As a whole.
It's just consistently bad.
I try to, anytime I travel somewhere, I try to go in there and hopefully they don't recognize me. Sometimes they do. And if they don't recognize me, they just treat me like absolute crap. Yeah. It is what it is. They don't want to look your way. Oh, you don't have a profile with us? Oh, yeah, I'm just trying to look at something here. Do you have anything in the store to look at? They have nothing.
Yeah.
They have maybe a Code 1159 as a display.
Or they just don't want to show it to you.
Yeah, so that's a problem.
Yeah, I totally agree. Well, Adrian, thank you so much again for joining me. Thanks for your insights. Guys, let us know down in the comments below what you think are the most undervalued AP models and what your outlook on the AP market is. Adrian, thanks as always for joining me. Be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.